This is the Peter Greenwood Show. I am doing shows up here at the Fringe, as are other people who are here to see me. Could you tell me your name and your show title, please?
Hello, yes, my name is Kate Danley, and I am in this show, Madame Lou.
How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Peter?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome.
Although a caveat should be made that there's a little E in brackets.
There
so
is.
What is Madame Lou and what are the brackets?
So Madame Lou is actually a piece that I've spent 10 years researching about a woman who founded my town, Seattle. And she was a madam. Her name was Lou Graham. And the reason why I have the E's in between the brackets is that if you have an E, it's the name of a woman who, it's a title for a woman who embarks respect. And if you drop the E, she becomes a brothel owner.
That was what I was going to ask. So, who was Madame Lou a brothel owner? What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, so back in 1884, she showed up in Seattle and she started up a brothel. But her money actually paid for our streets and our sidewalks and all of our public works. She ended up saving the city in the middle of a financial crisis. So she's this huge figure, but she's been written out of all of our history books because of her trade. And so I started doing research again about 10 years ago and just discovered everything that is available on the internet, everything that's available online is wrong. And so I started compiling all the information I could find about her. But it started off as a musical, and then it started off as a radio play, and then it turned into like a 14-person one-act. And I realized I just wanted to get out the truth about her. Enough had been fictionalized. I just wanted to start telling the facts.
And what were some of the truths about Madame Ruth, and how did you find them?
You know, I went back to articles from the 1800s, and I just began researching them. She also has a probate file. She died without a will, and so the probate file fills up 3 accordion files that are about 5 inches thick, and so I was able to go through all of her property and start to piece together the people that she knows and loves. And just recently, like in the last 5 years, we've really had this expansion of digital archives that are available online. So I was able to look at newspaper articles in the United States and newspaper articles here in the UK and find things out about her that just weren't even available to the few historians out there who was looking at her.
And how did you decide you wanted to do this one-person play to bring the truth out about Madame Lou?
It's so hard when you put together a big historical book for people to be interested, to sit down and say, hey, I'd really like to read a 400 book stop about this one person. And so I was trying to think of ways that I could get this information across in a way that people would enjoy and find entertaining. And the history that I found is absolutely bonkers. Like, it's hilarious what happened in Seattle. There's the sort of stories that you can't make up. And so as I was reading these things, I kind of went, well, I've got this background in plays and playwriting, and I think that I can turn these stories into a presentation that people would actually sit down and enjoy for 45 minutes and just give them a crash course in everything, the higher level stuff that I know about Lou, and hopefully that will inspire people to seek out more about her. And then also to take a look at the stories in their own cities and towns and villages that have been ignored and written out of the history books.
Which happens, I would say, fairly frequently, wouldn't
It
you?
does.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Like, women are completely erased from history.
It's crazy. There was this figure that 20% of all of the voices that we hear in the newspaper, on radio, on our stages, only 20% are women's voices, despite us making up 51% of the population. And so finding ways to kind of elevate voices and just so that there's parity, just so that we actually represent the ratio that we take up in the population has been a big goal of mine.
What's been your personal favorite thing to learn about Madame Lou?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. So it isn't in my show, but I found out that across the street from her was a gentleman named John Considine, and he was a gambling kingpin. And he also opened up a theater called the People's Theater, and he housed his actresses at Lou's place. And later on, he would open up a saloon next door to hers, and then he actually shot the sheriff. His name was Sheriff Meredith. It was the first use of the term, this town isn't big enough for the two of us. And so he ended up going the straight and narrow. Lou took over his parlor, and I was actually able to find a mug that was at the saloon at the time. And John Constantine went to Los Angeles, and he became one of the founders of Hollywood. And his son became a big Hollywood director. He did Mickey Rooney and Spencer Tracy in Boys Town. And then his grandson ended up being a Mouseketeer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which Mouseketeer? Do we know?
Tim the Mouseketeer. Yeah.
Oh, Tim. Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, Tim. And how did you decide what parts of Madame Lou's life to include in the story?
That is an excellent question. I think it's the biggest question that people who are trying to wrestle with history, what do you keep and what do you leave out? So I kind of left in like the fun bits. I can really get super nerdy about things and think that everybody's going to want to hear everything that I love. But I just kind of went with the higher level stuff, the stuff that didn't require too much backstory information, so I don't lose people. But also the things that really made her important to the city. I think that people might not be people might not know Seattle, but Seattle is where Bill Gates got his start and Microsoft got their start, and they're responsible for everybody having a computer in their house. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for actions that Lou took 100 years before. There were these inflection points, and she was a part of them that started building our city into the city that it is, that went on to change our global culture. So I tried to keep in everything that made her important, and why people should care about her.
And was there ever a reason you found why she was removed from so much of her history? Was it just her profession, or was there any other reason to it?
It was mostly just her profession. When she died, there was a big push to get rid of all the gambling halls, all of the vice that was there in the city. And so she had actually left. So when she passed away, there wasn't really anyone there to honor her. But also, our history books are written by the victors. Yep. And our very first history book was written by a Christian teetotaler who came to Seattle to find a dry utopia. And so he
was wrong on every account.
Yes, he was.
There's a man who could not be more wrong, and men are generally wrong.
So, she's a fascinating woman, but yeah, we've got to look through history about, who's writing the books, who's making things available.
Who's telling the stories.
Who's telling the story.
Is there any of Lou left in Seattle? Is there streets named after her? Can you see her influence in 2026 Seattle?
There's one building that is Lou Graham's Sporting House, and that she moved into that house in 1900, and she died shortly afterwards. But the history, there's a plaque that's on the side, and the plaque's wrong. The plaque's got all the wrong information. And
of course it does.
Of course it does. And that's it. There's no streets. There's no other acknowledgement. There was one music venue that had named one of their rooms after her, but the music venue has since closed. But it was just recently purchased by the owner of The Onion. And so
amazing. I think I might have read that story.
Yeah.
Because I follow The Onion.
It is like, he is our hero. He is one of our favorite people in Seattle right now, just for bringing this very important music venue, the Crocodile, to life. We haven't heard yet if that room in the Crocodile is going to open up again, but we're all so grateful for him for saving that important part of our city.
So aside from physical things like street names and stuff, is she known as a name? Like if you say Madame Lou to a Seattleian? Seattleite? Do they recognize it, or are they like,
Some people do. So there was an underground tour in our historic district led by a gentleman named Bill Spidell. And when they were tearing down our city for urban renewal back in the 1960s, he created this really hilarious tour to get people interested in caring about history. And that's the reason we even have any of our older buildings. But unfortunately, he was trying to get people interested and not necessarily focus so much on the truth. And so people know of Lou, but they don't know the real story. Pretty much everything on the tour is wrong. And that story those stories have gone on to inform our history books written by Lou and the articles that you find on the internet about Lou, that it's all of these all of these wrong stories of things that she didn't do, or things that downplay that she did, and things that are just flat out wrong.
Because, again, men. What is next for the show? I mean, you mentioned maybe doing it as a radio show. Is there a documentary possibly about this?
You know, it has been optioned for film and television adaptation.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, they saw that this show was coming to the Fringe, and they reached out to me to say, hey, could we read your script? And I said, well, I can perform it for you. And so they're now doing things with it. I can't say too much because there's an NDA, but it's for a fictional story based upon the information that you'll hear in my piece.
That'll be amazing.
I'm so excited.
And it must feel so great, like after all this work, 10 years of research, to finally have the dividends of it paying off. You're here in Edinburgh, it's been optioned, that must feel pretty great.
It feels pretty darn good. You know, this was a project that lived in my drawer and gathered dust for decades, you know, and it's a project that I frankly was kind of going, well, you know, maybe I'll just abandon this and go work on something else. And, you know, instead, once I got it up on its feet, I've learned that there was actually a great love and a great desire from people to know more of the real stories. And Edinburgh has been so beautiful to me. We've got audience members coming up afterwards, you know, talking about how much they've enjoyed the show and how much they've enjoyed the history and how much they are just enamored with Lou. And again, I hope that it drives people to try to find those hidden stories in their own city.
Based on what you know about her in your research, how do you think she would react to the show?
I think she would freaking love it.
So she was the kind of lady who'd be like, yeah, I'm a madam, what you got to say about it? She wouldn't be like, oh, no, don't tell, is that?
No, she was funny and brassy and one of those people that you could just sit down and have a fantastic conversation with. There was nothing standoffish about her. She was able to transcend all cultural barriers, and she was really well loved while she was in Seattle.
Where can people find out more about you and the show online?
Sure. If they want to know more about me, they can go to katedanley.com. If they want to find out about the show, lougraham.com. It's being performed over at the Paradise in the Vault every night at 8:15 from now until the end of the Fringe. No show on the 23rd. I'm going to have a little nap that day.
You deserve a nap.
Thank you. So we all deserve a nap.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
Madame Lou is playing at 8:15 p.m. at the Annex at Paradise in the Vault every day until the 30th. For more information, go to edfringe.com and search for Madame Lou. Until next time, I've been Peter Greenwood, the host of The Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I've been to the Edinburgh Fringe, and these are some of the people I met. Bye, everybody, bye.